The cafe on station Zenith 7 hummed with the white noise of a dozen species attempting conversation. Lisa adjusted her thermal regulator beneath her synth-skin sleeve and tried not to stare at the human across from her. Corey had arrived exactly on time, wearing work boots still dusted with sawdust and a flannel shirt that seemed absurdly out of place among the sleek polymers and carbon fiber fashion of the station. So, Corey said, stirring his coffee with a wooden stick he'd apparently brought himself, "My sister said you were the whole bioluminescent thing, right?" Lisa's stomach dropped. "I need to tell you something. You're not Valorian," Corey said simply, still smiling. I'm not the alien girl." The words tumbled out in a rush. "I'm human, earthborn, grew up in the Philadelphia arcology before the Exodus. My friend Tanya was supposed to be here. She's actually Valorian, but she got called for an emergency shift at the hydroponics bay, and she asked me to come explain, but then I saw you and I just..." She gestured helplessly. "I don't know why I'm still sitting here." Corey took a sip of his coffee, unfazed. "Huh? That's it. Just huh? Well, I'm a carpenter on a space station where everything's made of nano-printed composite. I'm probably the least qualified person here for my actual job too." He gestured around the cafe. "See that support beam? Solid oak. Took me 3 months to convince station administrator Kelver to let me install it. You know what he said?" Lisa shook her head, bewildered by the turn in conversation. "He said, why would we use organic material that warps, rots, and requires maintenance when we have perfectly good durist?" You know what I told him? What? "Because when the power fails, when the nanoprinters break down, when your fancy composite gets brittle from radiation exposure, wood still works. Wood doesn't need a firmware update." Lisa found herself leaning forward. "What did he say to that?" "He approved my requisition." Corey grinned. "Took 17 years for an oak tree to grow in the bio. I checked on it every week. The Cloroxian botanists thought I was insane." "Were you?" "Probably." He pulled out a small wooden cube from his pocket, worn smooth at the edges. "But I carved this from the first branch we harvested. Gave one to everyone who said it couldn't be done." He slid it across the table to her. Lisa picked it up, feeling the grain beneath her fingers. It was warm, impossibly warm, in a way that metal and plastic never quite managed. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because everyone on this station is pretending to be something they're not," Corey said quietly. "The Valorians pretend they're not dying out because their homeworld sun is going red giant in 2 generations. The Taraxi pretend their rigid caste system doesn't hurt them. The humans pretend we're not terrified that we'll never see Earth again." He met her eyes. "And you're sitting here pretending you're not interesting just because you're not the person I expected." "I'm a data analyst for waste reclamation," Lisa said flatly. "I literally process sewage logistics. Do you know how many civilizations have fallen because they couldn't handle their own waste?" Corey leaned back. "The Mesopotamians, Rome, the colony on Kepler 4 for to be before we got there. You're the reason this station doesn't drown in its own refuse. That's not nothing." Lisa laughed despite herself. "You're very strange," says the woman who showed up to a blind date knowing it was meant for someone else. "Fair point." She turned the wooden cube in her hands. "Why carpentry though, really?" Corey's expression grew distant. "My grandfather built houses, real houses on Earth, before the sea levels rose and swallowed the coast. He used to say that long after the politicians and CEOs were forgotten, his houses would still be standing. He was wrong there, all underwater now, but the principle stuck with me." He tapped the wooden table. "Things made with hands, with care, with understanding of the material. They last in ways that manufactured precision can't replicate." That's almost poetic. "Don't tell anyone. I've got a reputation as the station's stubborn human to maintain." Lisa smiled. Around them, the cafe continued its multilingual buzz. A Valorian couple, actually Valorian, sat 2 tables over, their skin pulsing with soft purple light in synchronized patterns. A Taraxi merchant argued with a human trader over shipping rates. The station's AI announced an incoming cargo freighter in 5 languages simultaneously. "Can I ask you something?" Lisa said. "Sure. Why didn't you leave when I told you the truth?" Corey considered this, rolling his coffee cup between his palms. "Because disappointment is just the gap between expectation and reality. I expected one thing, got another. That doesn't make the thing I got worse, just different." He met her eyes again. "And honestly, I'm tired of alien culture. Don't get me wrong, I respect it. I work with dozens of species every day. It's fascinating. But sometimes I miss just talking to another human who remembers what rain smells like." "Petrichor," Lisa said softly. "The compound is called petrichor. It's from oils that plants excrete being released when rainwater hits the soil. See, you even know the science behind the poetry. Data analysts, remember, right?" Corey pushed back his chair and stood. Lisa, this blind date officially failed the moment you sat down under false pretenses. Her heart sank. Right. I'm sorry, which means, he continued, extending his hand, we should probably start over. Hi, I'm Corey. I'm a carpenter who grows trees in space. Want to get some actual dinner instead of sitting in this overpriced cafe? Lisa looked at his hand, calloused and scarred from years of working with actual wood, impossibly old-fashioned and impossibly sincere. She took it. I'm Lisa. I make sure shit flows downhill, metaphorically and literally. And yes, as they walked out together, past the Valorian couple and the arguing traders, past the composite walls and nano-printed fixtures, Lisa noticed something she'd missed before. Corey's wooden support beam ran the length of the cafe's ceiling. Carved into it, barely visible unless you knew to look, were names. Hundreds of them. What are those? She asked. Everyone who said it couldn't be done, Corey said. I figure they earned their immortality. You're definitely strange. Good thing you showed up instead of your friend. Then, she probably would have found me boring. Lisa laughed, and the sound felt human in a way nothing had since she'd left Earth orbit 3 years ago. In the cold mathematics of space, in the precise calculations of orbital mechanics and fusion drives, sometimes the most revolutionary thing was just being honestly, stubbornly yourself, even especially if you were just a carpenter who grew trees and a data analyst who processed waste. Sometimes humanity's greatest strength wasn't in pretending to be something. More it was in refusing to be anything less than what they were, and that was enough.